Here they come.
Hey, good morning, gang. Just remember the cameras are on. I already see lots of pictures, so be
Yep.
cognizant of whatever you are doing.
And please remain muted, if you would, please. This is going to be a fast one.
All right, gang. If you're not driving, you might want to have a notepad and take some notes of how I do this. And we're only going to give this about 10 more seconds, and we are going to. Yeah, you can leave your cameras off. All of you know I don't do a lot of Zooms with cameras on. I am, for those of you, I'm just going to go ahead and crank this because there's a very specific thing I'm going to do this morning. Lots of requests for how do you onboard people, Jim? What do you do? Can we see that whole thing? What it is that you do. And I'm going to do that, but really quickly, starting when I fly home Monday night, I'm leaving for the airport in a couple hours, flying to Dallas, Fort Worth, filming a whole bunch of new training videos in a studio with Pastor Brian's studio. And these are going to be on literally the brass tacks of how you build, how you make money, how you generate income, tied to the success loop and the concept of baseball. Got like 40 videos mapped out. The point I want to make is when I get home, for those of you that are tied in, because there's a lot of people word crept out on this particular Zoom, I suggest you get plugged in with whoever you typically plug in with, because there's so many different leaders that have different Zooms. So if this got out there, I just want to promote what they're doing because we've been blessed with just a huge amount of great builders and leaders. So with that said, you're going to notice that for those of you that tie directly into me, I'm going to start sending texts out on random. They're not going to be at set times. They're going to be like, hey, I've got an opening at 3 o'clock this afternoon. I'm going to do a closing Zoom. And you might say, what is that? It's basically a live three-way call. I'm going to do them cameras on. I'm going to talk to the prospects that you've already had gone through things that want to hear some of the stuff that I might share when I'm talking on a three-way call or connect call over the phone. So I just want to make you aware that I'm going to start doing those. And the other one is lots of onboarding random. Again, they might be at 7 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Central. They might be at the noon hour Eastern time. It's going to be all over the map. And if only a handful of people show up, that's okay. And so that's just a really good thing. So how do we onboard people? I'm going to go straight to screen share. So if I am talking to you and you are the new person and I've just enrolled with you, I'm actually going to take you here first. And I need you to understand, and I'm just going to use my son's name because I'm in Wyatt's back office here. If I had just enrolled Wyatt, I'm going to briefly explain to him there's the management side of business and there is the money-making side of business. The management side are details that we need to execute quickly. Marketplace Global has these widgets in your back office, and I need you to commit to completing these 5 tasks, Wyatt. And the reason why I need you to complete them is you're going to knock out that setup time for your business in less than 10 minutes. This is not a complicated process. It's why we call them the Fast 5, and it's super simple to execute. Now, I tell him I need him to do this in the next 24 hours. This is a test when I enroll people, gang, because I will circle back with them and I let them know that as I work with you directly and I give you little tasks that I need executed, that when I follow up, I honestly, I'm not your boss, but I expect them to be done. Okay. Now, why is that important? There's 2 things that I'm going to learn from this Fast 5. One, if they go and finish that immediately and they text me that they've done it, because I'm going to ask them to text me when they're done with the Fast 5, I now know the type of person I'm dealing with. If 24 hours goes by and they're not complete, I now know the person that I'm dealing with. And the reason why I say this is there's two types of people that come into your team and enroll. The first category is the lion's share of people. They are W-2 employee mindset. They've never owned a business. They've never had something they've started outside of reporting probably to some sort of boss or management. And so I want to see if they take the self-start initiative to execute the basic tasks that I'm going to give them. And frankly, these are so simple. It's just a almost like a litmus test for me when I'm working with people. And I don't get wound up either way. I just store that, or I'll put it in my notes or on my board and easel where I keep my records. The next thing that I'm going to help them do, and I tell them the big one that I need is this one right here. Through the back office, I need them to click their 30-day free trial. And I'm going to show them in the onboarding why this is important. They just need to, it's right here. It's literally a 1-minute task. And it's part of the Fast 5. Now, why is this important? Because if I'm Zooming with them, which is typically how I onboard people, you can get a free Zoom account. If you're not Zooming, then you need to get a recording of this session like this. Maybe not this one onboarding, but something that we're updating our recordings. And you can just send them the ACE page that walks them through the onboarding process. Now, why do I do this with them? Is I want them, and I'm going to log in here. So I let them know, Steve, let me know if my Zoom controls are in the way because I'm moving stuff around here.
You're good. Keep going.
All right, I see we got more people in the waiting room too. I'm going to exit that out.
I got them.
Okay. All right. So ace.cc, I tell them, make sure you save this address. Ace.cc is once you get your free trial, you're going to save that in your favorites because that's where you're going to go log into what I think is the best building money-making tool that I've ever seen. The next part of my onboarding past the Fast 5 is literally I'm going to take them and I'm going to show them when you log into this, you're going to have what we call two collections. You're going to have a MPG corporate collection that happens to be the one with the blue ball, and you're going to have one titled ACE Academy. I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you over an email right now. This collection right here, I call it the essentials. We call it the essentials because we've stripped down the most common information shared when sending information to a potential prospect, that second look information to a potential prospect, or if they need deeper dive, depending on personality. Some people have to read the encyclopedia before they make a $250 decision. Gang, this isn't what this training is for. This is an onboarding. I tell them, you just need to know where the information is. So the second task that I'm going to give them is to go to their email account because I've onboarded them. I go up to these four little dots right here. Let me put my cheaters back on. I guess there's 3 of them. Looked like 4 without my glasses on. I click share. I copy this link. It's copied to my clipboard, and I email or text them that link. Now, here is why I do that. This is very, very, very important. Let me hide these controls. They're in the way. What is going to happen is they are going to get a, all right, Zoom is still messing with me. Hang on. Maybe Steve, maybe you need those. I don't know. There's going to be a couple little arrows up here in the left corner. They're going to get a notification that they need to accept that collection. All right. and they're simply going to accept it and refresh, and this essentials is going to pop up right in their ACE account, and I'll help them do this. And I show them, here's what I need you to understand, and a lot of you have never taken the time to do this. I'll put this link in the chat right now in case you don't have it. Right there, Control V. If you do not have essentials, you're certainly welcome to use it. These will be updated over the next couple of weeks in my private collection. We've got a master collection is the essentials. I'm going to shoot a bunch of videos because I'm gonna completely just redo what I've seen over 3 years here. So first look, gang, people call me or text me all the time. Where do I find this? Where do I find that? The second homework assignment I'm going to give people, they don't need to know what's in here, Wyatt. I just need you to go in here and click. First looks very intuitive. That tells me that's probably something I want to send to a prospect. I've got almost 20 new personals in the pipeline. People ask me every day, what do you send them? Well, that's a judgment call. I've got several gals looking at the project, and I sent them the gift, and I also sent them this one. Generally, I just send the gift. This one I use for a second look. And I show my new person this. This is a quick introduction. It's got a comprehensive overview as this spools up here. And we've got some information from Dr. Ben, and we've got some fit information. It's designed, again, just to help them make a decision in the follow-up process. There is no need to send this if they've already made the $250 decision here. Again, that's not what this training is for. I'm giving my new person a quick overview. I tell them, look, what we're going to do is as we start contacting people for you to start your business, that if you have somebody that asks, how do I get paid? I just need you to know there's information here on how they get paid. If they want more information on the product, they can come back here and we've got product specific information. And I tell my new rep, literally go back here and just click. You don't have to read the page. You don't have to watch the videos. You simply need to know where the information is, because you never have to worry about what do I say. I tell my new person the answer to all questions is, hey, I'm going to shoot you over another link that you can get those questions answered. Now, training. A lot of people ask, as we're phasing out, we're just a couple weeks away from shutting down the Reset and Win Mighty Networks app on October 1st. All of that content has already been brought over here. Thus the tab, very intuitive. Look, start here, first look, more information, training. So that was an extra for all of you. I tell them, look, if you want to get your PhD fast, there's about 45 or so podcasts that we've recorded on various subjects. And it's been mainly 3 people that have 120 years combined experience. I said, if you can get away from watching Facebook videos and things that don't pay you money, and you have your Drive Time University is literally right here. It's right at your fingertips. And they always go, well, that's awesome. And I said, all of the trainings right here. Okay. And then I said, we have some message board type things here that get updated. And I said, the really cool thing is these get updated on the fly. I'll give you an example. Some of you that are in here, something we did the other day is we just go in here. We got the countdown to boot camp. And when we get down to schedule, I'm sorry, let me look here. Boot camp, boot camp, boot camp, boot camp, boot camp. All right, I'm not gonna look here, but that we updated the attire for the diamond. A lot of the diamonds were saying, hey, what's going to be the attire? It's all being updated on the fly as we go. And I tell people, look, this is where we can communicate with you. There's a lot of communication. And then there's some miscellaneous resources. Byron wrote a book. They don't need to know. This is where we get more into what I'm going to call the minutia. The big build stuff's over here. And they go, oh, okay. And I said, look, doesn't it make sense that we start you here on the left side and we go left to right? And I said, the last thing I want to do with you is I want you, I said, can you do me one solid? I want you to write down the 10 people that you would like to talk to first after you execute these couple of tasks. We get your feet on the ground. And I said, I want you to think about the 10 people you'd like on your board of directors. I want the serial entrepreneurs, the people with most influence. And I said, I'm going to schedule you a second time and in the next 24 hours, and we're going to reconnect and we're going to formulate a game plan on how you talk to them. I said, but when you get your feet on the ground here in the Fast Five, you probably got an hour's worth of homework. And that's it. That's literally what I do with people. So you can see that it's 16 minutes after I've talked to you all, and I'm longer winded with you than I would be with my new person, because obviously we have a lot of people in here. Now, that part's done. That's my onboarding. This was the purpose of the Zoom. Everybody said, how do you onboard people? I basically take them to two directions. The only other thing I could possibly show them is this collection right here. And I'm going to just talk to the US people. If there's others in here, I'm not leaving you out on purpose, just for time's sake, is that there are resources in here for the US. These are what I call pre-built marketing pages. And as you go through the next week or 2 weeks, you might find something that you absolutely love. And I tell them that because people need to have confidence in what they're sending people. And so outside of that, the rest I'm not going to go deep into, because then we're getting into training, right? I want to get the management side out of the way so we can get into the money-making side. So I wrap with this. Look, what I just showed you was management activities. In no way, shape, or form will it put a comment in your paycheck. It simply will prepare you, and you mentally know now you have a real business. And as a person who's never owned a business, because I'm going to assume they've never owned a business, I'm going to ask them if they are a business owner. I'll change the verbiage and say, as a business owner, I'm sure that you can respect and actually be happy that there's a system here. As a W-2 wage earner, you've probably never been part of a training system to where you generate an income from it. You have a training system for your job and how you execute your career, but that's completely different than managing a business. They're like, yeah, I agree with that. I said, okay, now I want to set up appointment number 2, and that's where we're going to get into the money-making training. And that's it. That's my onboarding. Because some people will skip this. I'm not going to sit and debate. A lot of dot in the corner people could put in questions. I'm not going to do Q&A on this one, because I don't have the bandwidth. I got to get to the airport. But, you know, they'll ask, well, should I do this or that? Don't ask that question. It doesn't matter. Okay. The key is get them started. Some will go right to the money-making activities. I don't have a problem with that, just so you all know. I will tell you that if they skip the management activities and they're not grounded into what those are, you will have a larger hole in your bucket. And over the course of 90 days, you will find that people, if they don't know how to change out a credit card because they got hacked and the bank sent them a new debit card, you're going to lose that auto ship. You're going to find if they don't have an auto ship set up, you're going to constantly be reminding them to do their 50 points to hold their volume. So again, this is just Steve, yeah, you might have to watch Zoom's not perfect on the microphones. So you might have to come back, and then you have the hassle. I don't do that with my people. I'm pretty regimented, because if you're going to have a large volume of personals and tens of thousands of people in an organization, you have to have that systematized. So that's why I do the onboarding. Last thing I want to cover today is, all of you, I want to draw attention to something that came out in the email last night. Let me get to it here. Okay, in the Fun Fact Friday, I hope that you always at least scan these when they come out. There's corporate puts a lot of pertinent information. You can see the August winners, the top 3 there for the enrollment process. You see the other ones in there. So you say private account. By the way, why would it say private account right here? That's because they've not went through the Fast Five. If they did, they chose to keep their name private. We actually have a fair number of reps building that do not want public recognition. That should tell you something right there. Their name is private for a reason. So anyways, right down here though, I want to draw attention. Tom called and said, "Hey, I need you to do a video," and they're actually rounding up videos from several of the Blue Diamonds. If you're on here and you're blue and you didn't hear it, you're gonna hear this. Just yesterday, I said, "Well, why don't you just text them directly?" I pulled over in a park somewhere and shot this video. Here's what you need to know: we launched last night an additional promotion for the boot camp, and it's really simple. This is what I need you to understand. And so I'm going to do just a minute or two of training here. The way this widget is going live or has went live in your back office, it's called event points. In this case, if you had Jenny Jones, Bill King, Mary Smith going to boot camp, you're going to see that line of check match. Okay, some of you use enrollment lines, lineage lines. I like the term check match line because I think all of you can wrap your head around what a check match line of business is. We are going to give recognition for 2, 4, 8, and 12 at the event. But there's going to be special recognition for the 8 and the 12 point getters. And what that is 8 check match lines of business, 12 check match lines of business. There will also be recognition for 2 and 4 at the event. For the 12 check match lines of business, which is just 12 points, you're going to get a free ticket to the next event. And because you see how fast we're selling out hotel rooms, we will take this list of names and we will go to our event planner. We actually have an event planner now, and her company will put your name on a room in the host hotel. Some of you I know are staying off site because the hotel filled up the first 24 hours. Randy and Kathy, there's going to be rooms off to the side outside of the event room, and they're going to hang and do some. We're going to have we're paying for a professional photographer to be there, and they're going to do pictures with the founders and then the special recognition. Y'all can go to the Fun Fact Friday email, watch this. I basically just in 60 seconds, that's all the video was. I just said, hey, you know, there's this line of check match. So here's the training on this. People, for some reason in a binary, a 2-team structure, get confused on this. They're like, well, we only have 2 lines. That's an incorrect statement. You have a left team and a right team. Okay. You can bring in as many personal enrollments as you possibly can. We've got people with 1,000 personal enrollments in our company. We've got people with 0 and everybody in between. Gang, hear me when I say this. Whether you've got 1, 2, you're a bronze, 4, you're a silver, 8, you're a gold, 12, you're a platinum. And then there's not recognition after platinum on the width, which are check match lines. Some of you, if I said, hey, how many personals you got? We'd hear all kinds of numbers. I've got 21, I've got 51, I've got 80, I've got 100, I've got 200. Those are check match lines. How many of them have their boot camp ticket? And it does not have to be a personal. Notice the word that is in the promo, a check match line. So if you always work from the bottom up when you're promoting, if you have somebody 100 deep in that check match line, that means they're beyond the 7 levels of check match. If they're 50 deep, they're 20 deep, they're 7 levels deep in your DNA check match line, and they come and nobody above them attends, that counts as a check match line, and it's going to show up in this new widget. So what you need to do is lay out all of your check match lines that you have and start looking at your business objectively, because let me remind you at this event, gang, this is very important. If you've been to a previous MPG event, not one time have we had the production that will be at this event? You've all heard we've got Mark Aceta coming. There's a highlight film on the boot camp video in your ACE collection. Steve, if you want to grab it, you can post it in the chat. We're going to have a digital stage. Prior to this, there was not the budget to do the things we're going to have here. We're going to have 2 on-stage cameras. So when you're sitting in the audience, you're looking at the screens. Now, if you've never been to an event, this is really cool. Now that's being projected onto the screens, right? We've got a separate camera crew company coming with a designated camera that's going to be only filming highlights in the room, hallways, around that type of thing for highlight footage and a video that will be produced by the end of the event. And then we've got the ACE camera crew coming, like we did that film shoot at Byron's Lodge a couple weekends ago. They're going to be on site, and they're going to have some rumblings that you've been hearing. Some of you are sort of in the know. That's all being rolled out in Dallas. So you're going to see, I would say in its current form, if you thought ACE is like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, you're going to leave Dallas and say, wow, a month ago it was a 5. And now with all the other things, and we will be training in the boot camp on how that affects the build. Also, I believe Project Broadcast will be there. You see like the text that I send come from a Reach app. Thank God I'm going to get rid of that thing. It's very kind of herky-jerky. But Project Broadcast lives only a few minutes. They're Dallas-based. So I think Brian Jewell has confirmed that they're also going to be there. So off to the side in these other rooms are going to be vendor tables. And they're also going to have like a concierge ACE table there. And so when you add in the 6 Blue Diamond speakers, and no, I'm not one of them. We have not let out who is speaking. That's being coordinated with our outside speaker, Mark Aceta. So there's all these moving parts going on that start with the Diamond Dinner Thursday night. No, it's not too late to qualify for that. And then Friday, Sapphire from 9 to roughly 3 or 4. We might adjust that time. We'll let you know as we go. Might be 9:30. We're gonna play with some potential times, just 30 minutes either way, but you'll all be good with travel plans. But if you've got people that are new in your room, if you're asking why the Sapphire? Because we don't want to fire hose a new person that you've brought. Let them come to the general session Friday night and Saturday and Sunday. So on Friday is going to be Mark and certain leaders leading a leadership session, because our company is in desperate need of what I would call, hey, we've got to mute her, Steve. Thank you, Sue. I don't know why Zoom does that, but so we've got to have people up their game. We got a lot of people that have hit their leadership lid. On Friday, that's going to be the gist of that type of thing. So we start hand plucking and identifying our future trainers, because behind this is regional meetings that are going to be implemented. So gang, congratulations. This is where we end up after 3 years. You realize we just celebrated our 36th month, and we just finished 37. We just started month 38 as a company, and we're probably 4 to 6 months away from leaving what I would call formulation and getting into hardcore concentration, where we're looking for the serious people to build our company, because we have our act together, right? You can see it all happening before your eyes, and then we get into momentum. And that's probably, I don't know, my experience, we're probably 1 to 2 years away from where we get into momentum. All right. So these are very exciting times. Again, this is how I onboard people. If you do not take the time to look into your group and ask this question, who should be going to Dallas? I would suggest you manually draw out your team. Who are your best people that show the most promise? And have you had a conversation about what they're going to miss in Dallas? I'll say this, and I know on this section I sound like a pitch man. Good. I hope I do. I'm going to ask this question. If you desire to put a comma in your weekly paycheck, it doesn't even have to be a big number. Let's just say, for example purposes, your goal is to make $1,000 a week. That's a projected annualized income of $52,000 in a sideline business. I know you can do that. Individually, I'm talking to you. I'm going to ask this question. What investment are you making as a business owner? Not a W-2 mindset, but an actual business owner. And these are the biggest hurdle you're going to have is you. It's not other people. It's not whether you can build a business. It's you. This theme of boot camp is for you, is what I'm trying to say. So talk to your common upline, talk to some people, look at your group and say, hey, if I bring one more, what can that do for me? The reverse question I'm going to ask you is this. If you have a team and you have nobody there, that's great. You better be there, because that means you got to go put in new people, because the likelihood of them taking this serious is not a very high percentage. It's just not. I've found over the course of 37 years that the decisions for people to make the big money and blow it out are not made in the security of their home. They're made at an event like this. And our industry as a whole, unfortunately, bought into the Zoom lie that you could build a sustaining legacy business from only doing this. And this is very superficial. We're on here now for 31 minutes and I'm wrapping up and landing the airplane right now. So I'm just telling you, I put out that challenge. You could be calling people together. I was on with a group last night and they're drawing out their group, this particular group of mine, who should be going. They're within driving distance. I'm like, write every name down. The tire kickers, you don't have to write their name down if you don't want. But who wants to make the kind of money that's being made at MPG right now? Those are the people you want to target. So gang, it's Saturday. Be safe this weekend, no matter where you clicked in from. Thank you for giving me 32 minutes of your Saturday. And say a prayer for me the next 2 days that God will literally give me the wisdom to get into this studio and not get tongue-tied and produce the best content possible so that we can all win together. So appreciate y'all and have a great day. Bye.